You down with OPC? Yeah, you know me. 2012, Opel Astra OPC. We're back to RCR Australia. For the guy whose favorite time of year is the 1 week that Brazzers is free. Opel Astra, the official car of Macca's parking lot meets. This is a sleeper hot hatch, which was GM's answer to the Ford Focus ST, Hyundai Veloster, and it would have been a big success if General Motors brought it to America, but they didn't. Like a sub who is into CB&T, GM is just laying back and taking punishment in the United States. Boring cars, boring transmissions, ridicule from the public, and all they really have is their money to ask for please, sir, more, gimme more, hate me more. But overseas, General Motors' Opel division is on an unstoppable goon streak with the windows open and a bullhorn. Attention, neighborhood. Oh, yeah. Behold, my 4th gen Opel Astra OP. Yes, C stock. I have a 2-liter turbo 4. Look at me, Cliff. And it makes 267, hey Mary, at 5,000 RPM. Oh, your dog looks nice. 295 pound-feet. Speaking of feet, great sneakers. I love them. They shape-ups. At around 3,000 RPM. Don't look away. Stop walking your dog, Mike. It's 11:02 a.m. and I'm about to bust through this window screen. Oh, gotta fart first. There we go. Now that I'm in my refractory period, I have a mechanical limited slip to tell you about. Time to use the red towel that I don't leave out for guests. Anyway, Opel, or OPC, Opel Performance Center, is Opel's TRD or SVT or AMG or M or SRT. It's the performance division of Opel in Rüsselsheim, pronouncing it right, I hope, Germany. OPC began in 1997, and their first product, the Astra G, debuted in 1999. While Opel is owned by Yanks and the interior screamed Chevy Cruze and Chevy Sonic & Knuckles, your right foot feels something very different, especially when it goes down in the middle of a turn and you feel the suspension hold on. And you remember, oh right, OPC is a German company, and they know how to make a small car handle. The Astra OPC is like if you gave a Honda Fit the power of a Focus ST and the playful but predictable road characteristics of a BMW E30. Plus, look at it. It looks modest. If you didn't know what the OPC was, you wouldn't think this is a fast car. And with my American eyes, I can't tell the difference between this and any other of the weird generic GTA fake-looking cars I see every day in Australia. And before you comment, no, we're not in Australia right now. We came back to Pennsylvania. You're seeing our vacation from back in November. Anyway, why won't GM give us the good shit? Yes, I know the LS engine is divine, but I don't want to eat burgers every day. And speaking of burgers, why is everything between two buns called a burger in Australia? A chicken burger. It sounds so weird. It's a chicken sandwich. Anyway, I don't want to eat burgers any day. Just give me a kangaroo salad or something. And I did eat one small bite of kangaroo while I was in Australia. It took 2 days of convincing by Matto, but I had one sliver of kangaroo meat. And kangaroo tastes like steakums, which means kangaroo doesn't taste like anything. I felt bad because kangaroos stand upright on 2 legs and sort of have hands and are cute looking, so the idea of eating them makes me feel sad. On the other hand, I have no problem eating lamb or venison, and both of those animals are cute. Ever have deer jerky? Bro, it's the best. My friend's dad had a smoker built out of an old fridge, and my friend would give me deer jerky on the school bus, and I could still taste it. Anyway, Opel.
You feel like you don't have enough. You did it. This one.
Wait a minute, why is it here?
Because it's from Europe.
What does that mean?
Because in Europe, they have it on the left. On pretty much everything. So,
but they don't switch it?
Nope. Not for this car. Not when they brought them over and they made them into, turned them into Holdens.
Yeah.
They did. But because this was just a straight import from Opel in Europe, much like a BMW or an Audi or a Mercedes, they just left it alone.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, having that there is gonna screw my body up because
you're already on the wrong side of the car, doing manual on the wrong side of the car.
I'm on the correct side of the car, and I've owned JDM cars, so ever since that, my left hand knows what to do.
Gotcha.
I no longer have to think about it.
Yeah. Older one, the 1.4 liter.
There he goes.
Jesus. Man,
on a turn. Our character
wants
his
to
buddy.
Die.
Yeah. This is us, right?
Yep. This is us. And sweep me up here. I think I got up to 100 k's through these corners.
We are in maximum. You can still enjoy full throttle, which is
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun.
So this has 270 horse. They're at 275 horse thereabouts. So just almost as much as my Evo, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But then it also...
And I like it because it doesn't look at it. It doesn't have a big wing. It doesn't have a big spoiler.
No.
It doesn't have fake vents that do nothing.
No. And nobody knows what it is either. Until now, maybe.
Yeah, it's like the closest thing that this would be in the US would be the Subaru Legacy Spec B.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you can have a WRX, but it doesn't, you're not going to attract idiots.
Nah. You lift the hood, people see, Ecotec. They don't know. You know, and then you make some poor sod in the Porsche very upset by tailing them.
Yeah.
I did that recently.
Now, as fun as I'm having with the Opel, the GM-ness of it starts to rear its ugly head once you peer into this car deeper. So unfortunately, Opel had to pull out of Australia, but it was kind of a failed pullout, like a quarterback who forgets all his rubbers accidentally on purpose. This was the Holden Astra in Australia and New Zealand, and then it was replaced by the Holden Cruze, but then the Astra got brought back in 2012 as an Opel this time. But only for at least until Opel decided to get out of Australia altogether. It had barely been a year. Now the justification we were given is that Opels just didn't really sell well in Australia because while it's better than your average GM product, it's still a GM parts car. It was basically a matter of perception. In a world of vibes, the Astra comes across as the company's personality hire. He's not the best at his job, he's late all the time, and he's outlasted a bunch of other colleagues who are far more qualified. But you know, he's fun, and his presence boosts morale, and he helps with the optics, because really the company is run by a bunch of starched shirts and pantsuits. The Opel Astra is basically what you get when you're looking for a coworker car that's capable of clocking out. The OPC also has flex ride active suspension and a hyper strut front suspension. Its ride is compliant in its softest mode, but it gets incrementally stiffer and more aggressive in each of its subsequent drive modes, with the OPC button essentially turning this into a sports car. And it's easy to see why the OPC mode stuck around even after the base fell off. This is an amazing driving car, and it doesn't feel like a glorified Chevy Cruze. It feels like its own entity. But with that said, the transmission isn't perfect. It still unfortunately is a GM gearbox. So to hear Mitch tell it, if you're not careful and if you don't change your gear oil often, the bearings go out and the transmission likes to jump out of second gear. Worse, when Mitch had to change a few transmission parts, he had to import them from the UK because the parts availability in Australia isn't exactly what it is in the United States. Supposedly, a huge problem these cars tend to have comes down to a misunderstanding over just what kind of car you're getting. The OPC trim gives off slight Toyota vibes to where it feels so smooth and consistent, it's easy to mistake this for a sturdier engine than it actually is. Apparently, the biggest problem with the engine is the timing chain. It's a wet timing chain, so people treat it like a Toyota timing chain that you just don't think about. You just beat on it forever, which means they also change their oil as often as a Toyota gets its oil changed, and varnish builds up in the engine, and then it clogs the oil delivery system to the timing chain. And
now it skips teeth or, it stretches too much or who knows. This problem is said to be more pronounced on the 1.6 liter, which also has issues like catastrophic cylinder failure on cylinder 4. That engine has forged pistons, which the OPC also has, but without all the same baggage. But even while this car does come with baggage, it's outweighed by all the positives of the driving experience. It's not perfect, but it's fun. This is a car that's fun all the time. And furthermore, it doesn't look fast. It's a total sleeper. It has the compact comfort of a small sporty hatch, but with the dynamics of something far larger. And when you're having fun with it, you forget that it's a GM car. And you don't have to nanny this car. And in the turns, it doesn't try to nanny you. It lets you have fun. The rear will rotate. I mean, really, the Astra OPC just demands the type of normal preventative maintenance that's apparently become too much of an inconvenience for some people. If this were an Alpha, it would be considered the most reliable Alpha ever made. And it's generally one of the better surprises for RCR Australia. I love this thing. I wanted to drive it home. It's a blast. It really is. It's just a good regular car that seems in shorter supply back home in America than these things used to be. Could we get cars like these in the United States? Well, I don't know. It's Stellantis' problem now. Stellantis owns OPC. Great. And they have big issues at the moment. And anyway, there can be no wake-up call to someone who's committed to always hitting the snooze button, which is what Stellantis is doing now. Stellantis is that one Simpsons bit where Homer's on the couch and goes, "Marge, can you turn the heat down? The house is on fire." That's better. In that sense, the Astra OPC feels like a dying breed of a regular car that we're starting to not see now. Something dynamic, affordable, and it's not designed to thrive on the neediness to show off to other owners. You hear me, Hyundai? The Veloster N is ridiculous. If a Chevy Cruze could be self-assured enough to not over-engineer itself out of relevancy, then that would be an Opel Astra OPC. And in that, we'd all be better off.